Welcome to Day and Night News Prime Debate. The need for a strong structure to deal with terrorism has been felt for long in our country, especially in the aftermath of November 26, 2008 Mumbai attacks. However, the proposed National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, has drawn strong criticism from almost all non-Congress ruled states.
National Counter-Terrorism Center, the brainchild of Home Minister P. Chidambaram, has run into controversy even before it comes into being. Being formed to fight terrorism, it faces a rough ride with several states, particularly the ones ruled by Bharatiya Janata Party and non-Congress governments opposing it. And the concern voiced is that the NCTC would disrupt the federal structure. This, as being an intelligence gathering body, the NCTC would be collecting information from states which they otherwise are reluctant to provide. The NCTC would well misuse its powers, and this is what the state governments fear. At the same time, it is very much clear that national security can't be compromised. Concerns of the state governments have to be addressed. But can NCTC be diluted to an extent that it becomes ineffective?
Is the criticism of the National Counter-Terrorism Center being violative of the federal principle valid, or is politics at play? To try and find out, we are joined in the studio by Harcharan Bains, Media Advisor to the Punjab Chief Minister, Dr. A.A. Siddiqui, former Director General of Police Punjab, and Rana K.P. Singh, Vice President of the Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee. Welcome to the discussion. Harcharan, I'll start with you. We all know that terrorism is a scourge which needs to be tackled. Then why are some of the parties, including the Shromani Akali Dal, opposing the setting up of the National Centre?
I think to begin with, we need to see that the opposition to the NCTC is not opposition to the fight against terrorism. All these states, 11 states in all, up to now, who have opposed the NCTC, have a very fine track record of dealing with terrorism and of cooperating with the center wherever that was necessary in dealing with terrorism. But the opposition comes from quite a few considerations, among them federalism. You set up a body having a bearing on the functioning of the governments in all the states, and you don't consider it necessary to consult them. And
there is no new law which is being brought about. It is an old law. You have the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act.
That is a very...
It was brought about in '67. There have been amendments. The last amendment was in 2008. You didn't protest then.
That is a very bureaucratic argument, in the sense that what has happened now is not just about tightening the law enforcing agencies, or bringing about bureaucratic changes, or setting up a new nodal body or some such thing. It has a bearing on a few...
No, but if there is a problem, the problem is the law. The law is already there.
Not just the law. In fact, laws are always there. From day one, from the moment you set constitution rolling, the laws are there. It's the implementation, the procedural follow-up, how you go about it. That is the key thing. And if the law has to be looked at again, why not? But the principal opposition to this comes A, from federalism, and B, principally, how does the center assume that the states up to now have not been playing their part in fighting terrorism, and that there is a need for an overlap?
Well, that's a debatable point. Let me come to Dr. Siddiqui. Dr. Siddiqui, is the criticism of these various parties, including the Shromani Akali Dal and the BJP, justified?
I would like to begin with making a small observation that when NDA government was at the helms of affair in the government of India, I was Director General of Manipur. There was a strong debate within the police circle and also the Chief Minister's Conference, to which we were also party to attend. The NDA government was trying to set up federal investigating agency, and they were also trying to set up this multi-agency center, which is part of this also, and which is largely responsible for collecting intelligence and disseminating. Now, only thing which probably has been added and which is bothering the state governments is the sweeping power given to this agency for making arrest without taking into confidence the local governments. Probably that is the area where one needs to look at it afresh, whether purely exclusive approach would be justified or some kind of...
I'll just come back to you. Charan, would you like to comment on that? The NDA government was also in favor of almost a similar law, similar agency.
As they say, the devil lies in detail.
Okay.
It's how you go about it. Now you're giving power. Even at that time, it's on record that we had, even at that time, put our view across, and we said that we are not in favor of this. The Shromani Akali Dal, I mean.
No, devil lies in the detail, but here the devil is also the NDA, not just the UPA.
No, I'm saying that the difference between then and now, A and B, even at that time we had opposed it. So we are very consistent in that. We had said that that is opposed to the federal impulse in the country.
But you were a part of the NDA at that time.
See, being a part of the NDA doesn't mean that we are another party. We are a coalition of parties having differences on several issues, but we have a common minimum program on which we agree.
Okay, Dr. Siddiqui, now the basic problem, as you rightly put it, is the way this has been set up, the powers that have been given to it. For example, the NCTC also has certain operational powers. And it is almost set up on the lines of the NCTC in the United States, where they do not have the operational powers. So is that the main problem?
Yes. What I would like to add on to this is that there is not probably debate and doubt in anybody's mind, whether it is A party, a B political party, that there is a need for such a system at the level of the union government to handle a terrorism like cases. There is already now NIA which is looking into many of the such cases where national interest and national level of investigation is involved. I think it's not a very big issue at the moment. They are politically opposing a thing is different, but when you sit down together and talk about the differences, probably things will narrow down and a small bit of give and take and see the law through, and it is necessary to have such a law. That is definite.
Rana ji, tanu lagda hai ki chote mote problems hai jehdiyan which will be surmounted, or is there a serious problem?
देखो गल ये है भी सारे संदर्भ दे विच इहनूं देखना पएगा। पहली गल तो ये है कि मुंबई जिहड़ा टैरर अटैक था उस तो बाद सारे मुल्क दे अंदर सारे मुल्क ने एक होके आवाज़ बुलंद कीती सी कि केंद्र दे विच कोई इहो जी एजेंसी होनी चाहिए है जिहदे विच सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन कलैक्ट हो सके, इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर हो सके और कोई ऐसी स्ट्रैटेजी बन सके, क्योंकि ये जिहड़ा अज दा टेररिज्म है इट इज नॉट कन्फाइंड टू वन स्टेट।
पर राणा जी फिर इस वे बवाल क्यों उठ रहा है? शायद इस करके तो नहीं कि यूपीए सरकार दी क्रेडिबिलिटी बहुत लो है।
मैं ये तो हुण चलो खैर तुसीं कहने हो वो गल तां सिद्दीकी साहब ने पहलां कह दित्ती कि उही एनडीए जिन्हें आप इस चीज की किसी समय वकालत की सी, उही लोग अरुण जेतली जी जिन्हों ने बतौर लीडर ऑफ द अपोजिशन लोक सभा च गल कही होवे कि जदों ये अमेंडमेंट्स जदों ये पास हुई कि ये नाल असी सहमत हैं, ऐसा होना चाहिए, तो अज उन्होंने इस स्टेज ते आके करना मैं समझना पोलिटिकली मोटिवेटेड है। और ये एक ऐसा इशू है जिहदे च वडेरे कौमांतरी हितां नूं मद्देनज़र रख के तमाम लोगों को इकट्ठे होकर सोचना चाहिए कि टेररिज्म का मुकाबला
राणा जी नूं जो कंपेयर किया जा रहा है, कोई कह रहा है कि केजीबी बनाने की कोशिश है, कोई कह रहा है कि पाकिस्तान की आईएसआई वांगू एजेंसी इंटेलिजेंस ब्यूरो, क्योंकि इंटेलिजेंस ब्यूरो ऑलरेडी एक हाशश ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, बिल्कुल उन्होंने इन्नी पावर दे देनी तेरे हिसाब नाल ठीक है?
बिल्कुल ठीक है। ये कुछ लोगों के शंके है पर ये शंके पोलिटिकली मोटिवेटेड ने। इत्थे तक वो भी लोग सी जो एमरजेंसी मुल्क च लगे सी जिहड़े कहंदे ते कदे मुड़ के इलैक्शन होना ही नहीं, जिहड़े कहंदे सी इंदिरा जी डिक्टेटर हो गए, 77 च इत्थे मुल्क च इलैक्शन भी होए, पीसफुल ट्रांसफर ऑफ पावर भी
ज्यादतियां भी होईयां,
ज्यादतियां होईयां तां असीं भुगतिया भी है, तां असीं भुगतिया भी है, लोकां ने ताकत भी दूजियां लोकां नूं देती। इस मुल्क दे अंदर डेमोक्रेटिक इंस्टीट्यूशन और डेमोक्रेटिक जिहड़ी भावना है वो इन्नी मजबूत है।
पर राणा जी जे डेमोक्रेटिक भावना मजबूत है तो फिर स्टेट्स नाल कंसल्टेशन क्यों नहीं की यूपीए सरकार ने एनसीटीसी लियाउण तो पहले?
मैं पहला थोड़ा रिक्वेस्ट की है कि जदों ये अमेंडमेंट हुई है 2008 दे विच, उदों ये सारा कुछ जो प्रोसीजर इहदा जरूरी सी उहदे विचों लंघ के ही ये अमेंडमेंट्स कैरी होईयां। ये एक्ट अज दा नहीं है, और ये एक्ट जदों 67 भी ईवन बनिया उधरों भी कुछ कमिटमेंट सी साडे मुल्क दीयां जिहड़ियां इंटरनेशनल लेवल ते सी, और उहदे विच समय समय बाद विच होर अमेंडमेंट्स भी होईयां। ये उदों गल क्यों नहीं उठी? अज गल उठाण दा की समा ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਮਝਦਾ ਰਾਜਨੀਤੀ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਛੋੜ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ
See, I was
ये क्या जा रहा है कि अकाली दल बीजेपी और होर कुछ पार्टियां डबल गेम खेड रही एक पासे जो पोटा आया टाडा आया और हुण भी जम्मू एंड कश्मीर दे विच आर्म्ड फोर्सेस स्पेशल पावर्स एक्ट ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ बीजेपी ਦਾ ਕੀ ਸਟੈਂਡ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਸਟੈਂਡ ਹੈ
Cover, there are two sides to it. One is going into the conduct of the political parties. What did they do then? What are they doing now? This is one side of it. The other is discussing the issue per se. What is NCTC all about? Should it be there? Are the objections valid or not? Forgetting who is objecting to it, forgetting who is supporting it. I'm into the second part.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in the meeting of the chief ministers called by the Prime Minister at that time on internal security in the wake of the extremist ideological extremism, the Naxal terror, I mean. At that time, the issue of dealing with terrorism of all kinds, including ideological extremism, was discussed threadbare by all the chief ministers. And at that time, there was a vague suggestion thrown in by the Home Minister P.C. Chidambaram about the need for some kind of a mechanism by which you could have a coordinated response to the challenges of terror.
But that's what they've done, no?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just coming to that. All the chief ministers, including the Congress chief ministers at that time, had opposed it. Now that stands till date. That was the last meeting of the chief ministers on internal security. That is the last consensus arrived at. You're violating that now. Why don't you call another meeting of the chief ministers on internal security? This is a very important issue. Terror is, of course, as you know.
But coming to the first point, how is the BJP supporting the Armed Forces Special Powers Act in certain states and opposing such an agency? Isn't it kind of, as they say, running with the hare and hunting with the hounds?
Frankly, as I said in the beginning, that I'm not here to discuss the conduct of the political parties, the Congress, the BJP, the Akalis even. I'm here to discuss an issue on merit. And whosoever it comes from, whether it comes from the Congress or the BJP or us, let's discuss it on merit.
We have a caller with us. Let's hear what the caller has to say. Yes, please. Who is speaking and what is the point of view that you have?
Hello.
जी.
हेलो
जी
हाँ मैं रमेश बोल रहा था शिमला से
हाँ जी दसो की कहना चाहोगे
हाँ मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि ये एनसीटीसी जो ये क्या नाम इसको जो बनाया गया शुरू में नक्सलाइट एरियाज में
जी
नक्सलाइट राज्य जो है ना जहाँ नक्सली प्रभावित है वहाँ इसको लागू किया जाए प्रयोग के तौर पर और फिर अगर ये सफल होता है प्रयोग फिर ये सारे देश में किया जाए देश के हित के लिए हमें कुर्बानी तो करनी ही पड़ेगी
जी बड़ा वैलिड पॉइंट आपका इसके ऊपर हम अभी चर्चा करेंगे एक और हमारे साथ कॉलर जुड़े हुए हैं सुनते हैं वो क्या कहते हैं कौन बोल रहे हैं जी आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे
हाँ अमरीक सिंह बोल रहा जी
हाँ जी अमरीक सिंह जी दसो की कहना चाहते तुसी
हाँ भी ਜਿਹੜਾ कहना भी संगीत ढांचा ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਜੀ ਅੱਤਵਾਦ ਰੋਕੂ
ਇਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਅੱਤਵਾਦ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰੁਕੂਗਾ ਬੜੀ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ Siddiqui Sahab, 2 points have been made. One, of course, is that they feel that you should have a center like this. The second point is it should be first tried out in the states which are most affected. Can that be done? You apply exactly a part of the law, or you apply a structure only in a part of the country and not in the rest of the country?
This is not likely to yield any good result because the Naxalism affected area is not one particular state. There are a number of states where they are operating.
Okay.
And then it comes down again to having 4 states having a law and 4 states not having a law. The operation itself will fail. Because
no, but you have the Armed Forces Special Powers Act operational only in some states and not in operation other states.
That is why there is lot of complaint of misuse.
Okay.
Because if it was everywhere, then probably there will be no complaint. And they are specific to the border areas. They are not inside the territory of India as the Naxalism and
okay. Now misuse is a very interesting point. We'll just come to that. Here we'll take a short break. On return, we continue our discussion on the state's objections to the proposed anti-terror center.